Welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers. We begin in South Africa, and the country is still grappling with yet another string of deaths at a drinking bar. The latest incident occurred in Soweto, Johannesburg, in the early hours of Sunday. 4 other people were also shot in a bar in Pietermaritzburg in KwaZulu-Natal, but police do not think the incidents are related. Police Minister Bheki Cele, accompanied by the Mayor of Johannesburg and top police officers, visited the grieving community of Nomzamo. Let's get more on these incidents. Our South Africa Bureau Chief Betty Dibia joins us now. She's been visiting the community. Hello, Betty. What's the latest on the investigation at this time?
Well, we still have basically the same figures that we got on Sunday, where we understand that 15 people officially are dead. A number of people have been treated and discharged. A few people, a handful of people, are still in critical condition. I think about 8 people have been discharged. We've heard glimpses of what may have happened from survivors. I understand one of the survivors was saying that he was playing pool when these gentlemen came in, and when he heard the first few gunshots, he went under the pool table and he had given up that he would die. But a man at the door wearing black just shot freely into the crowd of people in the tavern. And when he was done, 2 other men, he left, and 2 other men came in and continued firing at the people. So far, from this particular area, the incident here in Nomzamo in Soweto, 15 people killed in the early hours of Sunday. A handful, about 3 or 4, still in critical condition, and about 8 of them have been treated and discharged.
Right. Has a motive been established for these incidents and perhaps the identity of those killed? As reports say, the gunmen came in shooting without taking anything.
At the moment, it's still all speculation. Some are raising ethnic colorations to the attacks. Some are saying probably we have a group of people, the usual suspects, talking about foreign nationals. But nothing official has been said. And we spoke to one of the relatives of the victims, a man who lost 2 people in that incident that happened. And they're asking for justice. Nothing official has been said is the motive. So anything that I get to say to you or you get to hear anywhere else is all speculation.
And so South Africa, Betty, is still reeling from the deaths of teenagers in East London, and now this one. How is the community and general country reacting to this?
This incident of shooting and all other crimes and the poverty and the unemployment, everyone is reeling from just how difficult things have been, and of course the rolling blackouts, which is folding even more businesses. So people are worried. The case of the 21 teenagers who died, that is yet to be resolved because we don't have an official reason why those young people died, although the last has been buried at the weekend. So we're still waiting for that. And note, this incident is not the only one that happened last weekend. Somewhere else in Johannesburg, 2 or 4 people were killed in a similar circumstance. That was on Friday. And then Saturday, early hours, you still had one in Pietermaritzburg, that's in KwaZulu-Natal. And these are the ones that made the news. That's what some of the witnesses are saying, that these things happen every other day, but some get to make the headlines and some don't. But it's the issue of gun proliferation in the country, in various provinces. Gauteng in particular is a cause of worry for the officials. And we're here in Nomzamo, where the police minister, the mayor of Johannesburg, the National Police Commission, commissioner are having a town hall meeting, sort of, with the community members, and they've been talking about the issues they have been facing, the issue of crime, the issue of lack of assistance, allegedly, from the police when they get to the police station. Some even threatening to close down the police station themselves if the police minister doesn't do anything about the situation, where you're asked allegedly to speak a particular language before you are attended to.
Thank you for that update. Our South Africa Bureau Chief, Bessie Dibia, reporting there. Moving on to other stories, more tragedy. I'm afraid 7 children are reported to have been killed by an improvised bomb in Togo. Witnesses say they were woken by a loud blast in the Savannahs region in the north of the country. Togo's army said in a statement the explosion in Maragua village had killed 7 and wounded 2 more, adding that an investigation is ongoing to determine circumstances of the explosion and identify the perpetrators. The explosion happened near the border with Burkina Faso, where a Sahel jihadist insurgency is threatening to spill over into coastal West African nations. Togo last month declared a state of emergency in its northern prefectures over the threat of Islamist militant attacks from north of its border. The Togolese army has been on high alert following the country's first deadly militant attack in May, when 8 soldiers were killed near the border with Burkina Faso. A court in Barcelona has authorized an autopsy to be carried out on the body of the former Angolan president, José Eduardo dos Santos. He died in the Spanish city last Friday, where he had gone for medical treatment. The autopsy was requested by the late president's daughter, Chizzy dos Santos, who spoke of a conspiracy to kill her father to prevent him from supporting the opposition in the upcoming Angolan elections. Lawyers for the Dos Santos family have denounced moves by the Angolan government to return the body to Angola for a state funeral against the ex-president's expressed wish to be buried privately in Spain. Militants in Mozambique have raided a military camp located near a site exploring a major gas field in the northern Cabo Delgado province. It was the third of such attacks against the military position in the province in less than 2 months. The attackers were reported to be looking for arms and food supplies. Local media outlets say there were fierce confrontations between soldiers and the suspected Islamists, with casualties on both sides. Some soldiers are said to have abandoned the camp to seek refuge in nearby town of Palma. According to reports, the camp was shared by Rwandan soldiers, although neither the Mozambican nor Rwandan army has responded to the reports. Staying in Mozambique, the country has recorded 9 cases of paralysis in children who are suspected to have contracted polio over the first half of the year. The suspected polio cases have been registered in the southern Inhambane province, raising concern among health authorities there. In May, Mozambican authorities declared a polio outbreak after confirming that a child in the northeastern Tete province had contracted the disease. The health sector in Inhambane province had vaccinated 196,000 children against the disease as of July the 9th. Health teams in the province have also embarked on a mission to identify new cases of children with signs of polio. Foggy conditions today in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, have forced flights to divert from Bole International Airport. Aviation data tracking websites Flight Radar 24 and Flight Aware showed flights from Beirut, Dubai and Toronto were forced to land at other airports. In a statement, Ethiopian Airlines said the departing flights had been delayed but did not indicate the total number of flights affected. Last year, operations at the airport were also disrupted by severe weather and flights were diverted to regional cities and neighboring countries. The lifting of regional sanctions imposed on Mali after its military rulers postponed elections to restore democracy is bringing relief for hundreds of truckers who had been stranded at the country's border with Ivory Coast since January. The decision is also expected to boost the economies of the 2 West African countries, which have been hit by global shocks, including the COVID-19 pandemic and the war with Ukraine.
After months of being stuck at home, unable to provide for his family, Malian truck driver Ibrahima Sangari is delighted to be back on the road after the lifting of regional economic sanctions let him resume long-distance driving to ports in Ivory Coast. Sangari was waiting at a dusty border crossing with a dozen fellow cotton truckers, among the first to cross into Ivory Coast since the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, announced on July the 3rd that borders with Mali could reopen for trade. After the ECOWAS announcement, Sangari and the other drivers filled their trucks with cotton bales and started the 800-kilometer journey from the Malian city of Bogoni to the port of San Pedro in southern Ivory Coast.
This is a good thing for all Malian transporters and our neighboring countries because we work together. If there are sanctions, we cannot work. It makes the work difficult. Now that the sanctions are lifted, it is a joy for us to find work again and to pass through here.
The border closures were among the stiff sanctions imposed by the bloc in January after Mali's military-led interim government said it planned to extend its rule and delay democratic elections after a coup in 2020. Free of sanctions, landlocked Mali can restart exports of cotton and gold, its major economic drivers. It has also pledged to honor some $300 million of missed debt repayments caused by being cut off from the regional financial markets and regional central bank.
Before the sanctions, the number of trips we made was much higher. It's a relief that the sanctions are lifted, and for me personally, I'm very happy about it.
The Ivorian Shippers Office, which oversees the cross-border transport of goods, expects about 150 to 200 trucks carrying cotton from Mali to reach the ports of San Pedro and Abidjan per week.
During the ECOWAS sanctions, they didn't even allow the trucks to arrive here because the cotton was really affected by the sanctions. But right now, as I am talking to you, there's an important quantity that is being loaded. And there are others that are even in TOGO, in preparation to go down to our different ports.
Like elsewhere, Mali has seen a sharp rise in the price of fuel and basic goods, while the government also faces steep security costs from a decade-old Islamist insurgency that has taken over swaths of the north and center, killing thousands. ECOWAS lifted the sanctions after its military rulers proposed a 24-month transition to democracy and published a new electoral law, but it kept individual sanctions on members of the ruling junta and the transitional council.
Israel has promised to investigate reports of a mass grave containing the bodies of Egyptian commandos killed during the 1967 war. Israeli government officials say that Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi had brought up the issue in a call after two Israeli newspapers published witness accounts suggesting there was an unmarked grave near Latran, an area between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, where Israel's army fought the Egyptian soldiers decades ago. Egypt was the first country to sign a peace accord with Israel in 1979. In Nigeria, with a need to deliver a credible and reliable database, the National Population Commission says it's employing the use of technology in the forthcoming census, but it will be testing the tools during the trial census in Lagos State. The Federal Commissioner in charge of Lagos State, Mrs. Abimbola Salu Hudein, at a media briefing stated that the exercise will take place in only 9 local government areas of the state, asking that residents cooperate with the enumerators.
Trained enumerators and management staff gather at the National Population Commission office in Lagos to strategize on the upcoming mock census across the country. The upcoming exercise is a dress rehearsal ahead of the 2023 census.
In the trial census, everything we're going to do during the census, we will do now, but as a rehearsal. This is not when we take permanent record. For now, we ensure that everything we will be going through during the census we'll be doing now, so that our respondents the citizens, the residents of the state will be familiar by the time we come for the census in April next year.
9 local governments across 3 senatorial districts in Lagos and 47 enumeration areas are up for the mock census, and technology is a big tool of assistance.
We are going to use what is known as CAPI, that is computer assisted personal interviewing, with the help of the PDA, which is the personal digital assistant, who are going to gather all the data, how to test run. That is the essence of the trial census.
For the trial exercise, 70 questions will be put to residents to collate specific data.
So we're still measuring how long it takes to interview one person. Sometimes it takes longer than 20 minutes, depending on the respondents. Some of them are very aggressive, some of them are nice. If they're nice, it's easier. In 10 minutes, you can get it done. For those that are aggressive, 20 minutes or more, it can still be got done.
There is an appeal for cooperation from the Population Commission to communities that will be covered in Lagos.
This is another opportunity to correct whatever pains you went through in 2006 regarding the census result. This time is a digital census. This time the Commission is doing everything to ensure we have accurate census. If you cooperate with us, make yourselves available, and we'll record everybody resident in Lagos State, I am sure you will have no reason to complain.
The strategy session here winds down with enumerators taking an oath of secrecy before a magistrate. Bukola Joe Oketumbi, Channels Television News.
While in northern Nigeria, residents of Kogi State are being assured of speedy completion of projects as the tenure of the present administration draws close. Governor Yaya Bello stated this while inspecting some ongoing and completed projects in Lokoja, the state capital. He reaffirms his administration's resolve to continue to provide projects that have direct impact on the life of the people.
Governor Yaya Bello sets out from the government house Lokoja, accompanied by some top government functionaries, to inspect some of the ongoing projects spread all over the state. The governor is received at the Kabawa area by the contractors handling the embankment project from Kabawa to Ganaja village. The embankment is 6 kilometers long and still under construction. It is aimed at arresting the perennial flooding occasioned by excessive flow from the river Niger. Some shops owners are assured of compensation as the governor orders the demolition of their structures to pave way for the completion of the embankments.
The construction of the embankment needs to be completed. If not, when the flood comes, we won't be able to prevent the effect on Lokoja and the environment, and even including those that are passing by. So we have promised them now that before they are removed, all the necessary compensations shall be paid to them. They shall be relocated to a new place where they will build their new shops, including all these markets will have to go, so that we can construct the embankment and the beautification of the whole of the area for the benefit of the general public.
Muhammadu Buhari Square is the next spot of call to be inspected by Governor Bello and his entourage. The Muhammadu Buhari Square is a 4,600 seating capacity with extra space capable of accommodating 10,000 others. The project is completed and ready to be commissioned. The State Specialist Hospital, which is under renovation, and some other newly constructed buildings are also inspected before Governor Bello takes his time to see patients undergoing treatment.
All the jobs so far executed are excellent, ready for commissioning. I have to personally inspect them to ensure that they meet my tastes, not just standard tastes and quality, before I invite our president, before I invite our flag bearer, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, before I invite other dignitaries to come and commission our projects here in Kogi State.
With most of the projects nearing completion, Governor Yaya Bello is optimistic that he will leave the state better than he met it.
A Senegalese NGO has covered an area of ocean floor with concrete sculpture designed to revive marine life and raise awareness about desertification and plastic pollution. Oceanium, the marine conservation NGO, placed concrete installations 4 meters below the ocean surface with a plan to form a marine ecosystem and to form around the species. Oceanium is also using the installations to raise awareness about protecting life in oceans and seas.
The Senegalese NGO is raising awareness about the threats of overfishing and its consequences on marine life with unique underwater art installations off the shores of the country's capital, Dakar. Created by artists Mischa Sanders and Philippi Putzer, the artworks are made of eco-friendly materials, part of an initiative launched in 2021 by the environmental protection NGO Oceanium. The group is calling this latest project Africa's only underwater museum.
The
idea is to put these artworks there, so they are reefs. Marine life will come and cling to these reefs. So we'll have micro seaweeds that will cling to them, fish that will eat these algae, and so on. The fish that was on the rock will move to this art piece, and eventually the fish that was there will move from one concrete installation to another. The bigger the museum gets, the more fish it will attract, and then the more smaller fish it attracts, the more bigger fish will come.
Once among the richest in the world, West Africa's fish stocks are being depleted by industrial trawlers, which comb the oceans to feed the European and Asian markets, according to experts. In Senegal, dwindling stocks pose a threat to livelihood and food security. Some 600,000 people, almost 20% of the workforce, work in fishing, and their hauls account for 75% of the country's animal protein intake, according to 2017 World Bank data. 30-year-old Dakar fisherman Blaise Mbegwe knows this more than most. Every morning when he embarks on his pirogue from the Sumbadelin fishing dock, he never knows what he'll be able to bring back after a day at sea. He says over the years, fish stocks have dwindled, forcing many fishermen like him to travel further to find their catch.
Our government grants a lot of fishing licenses. Where we used to find fish, we now find trawlers. 20 kilometers off our coast, where we used to fish, there are now boats that spread their big nets. The tuna that we used to catch and other species are caught up by the trawlers. We don't have much left. Today we caught 7 kilograms of fish. The fish we went to catch, we sell for 2,000 francs a kilogram, and it weighs 7 kilograms, so we have earned nothing. That's the current situation. Sometimes the profits are big, but there are times like this. Before, we didn't think about immigration because before, we could go to sea and come back with a lot of money. Now it's not possible anymore. We lose more than we gain.
According to a recent study published in the Journal of Fish and Fisheries, around a quarter of all fish caught in the world's ocean each year are used to make fish meal and fish oil rather than food for people. Part of it is used to feed the booming global agriculture industry, which in 2014 harvested 74 million tons of fish, worth an estimated $160 billion, according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO. Potentially adding to the incentives to overfish, fish prices are expected to increase by a further 33% by 2030, as demand is high and supplies are under strain.
When I was a kid, I used to catch fish this big. The first barracuda I caught it here. Today, to see a barracuda, I have to go out to sea, and when I see one, I'm so happy. Whereas before, we used to see them by the hundreds.
According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, around 35% of fisheries are overfished, compared to 10% in 1974.
That's Network Africa. Thank you for watching. I'm Jokia Rogers.